Hello and welcome everyone to PW Only IS English channel. As the New Zealand Prime Minister 𝐶hristopher is on a 5-day visit to India, we are going to discuss in this video the relationship between New Zealand and India, the trade relationship, the people to people ties and the defense and security cooperation. And we are also going to talk about what is there on the agenda of both the countries even as their Prime Minister visits India for the first time. We had given upon the trade negotiations, the free trade agreement negotiations 10 years ago. Now we are reviving this agreement, the talks, so that we can at least counter the phenomena of Donald Trump's tariff war. New Zealand is equally impacted, so is India, and that is why many European countries, many so called developed countries, are now knocking at the doors of the country which was known as Sone ki Chidiya in the past. India is regaining its glory. That is why every leader or the other, you talk about UK, you talk about European Union, now the New Zealand, they are knocking at the doors of India to sign free trade agreement because we are a burgeoning market of 140 crore people. The middle class, the rising middle class. And that is why New Zealand now. Talking about the New Zealand specifically, during this visit, India and New Zealand agreed to revive the free trade negotiations that have been stalled, as I said, for over a decade now. As the New Zealand also understands that in a few years from now, India will be the third largest economy. That is why the New Zealand Prime Minister is stressing upon trade and investment ties between India and New Zealand. He is going to visit the commercial capital of India, that is Mumbai, after his New Delhi visit. Now, the revival of these talks is timely, especially in the light of the US President Donald Trump's recent imposition of reciprocal tariffs on both imported goods of New Zealand as well as India. That is why India and New Zealand both are exploring the new trade partnerships, and that is what brings the New Zealandian delegation to India. New Zealandian Prime Minister has come to India with Commerce Minister, with Education Minister, so as to bolster ties in education as well as sports. As many Indian students, they go to New Zealand for pursuing their higher studies. Now, India and New Zealand are negotiating the free trade agreements. The contours are to discuss about dairy farming, pharmaceuticals, etc. Now, they wish to double the, take the trade 10x to 10x in 10 years. That means they want to increase the trade, expand the trade by 10 times in next 10 years. Talking about the areas of cooperation, mutual cooperation and investment can be encouraged in the fields such as dairy, food processing and pharmaceuticals. Insofar as dairy production is concerned, New Zealand had in 1970s sent 100 cows to India when we were struggling to have white revolution to bolster milk production in India. This is how the historic connection is there between the two countries, and now we seek to revive this. If we discuss the details about the trade between the two countries as it stands today, India's burgeoning export to New Zealand hit a new high in 2024, crossing the $600 million mark. Remember, it is just $600 million. The potential is huge. Though the exports from India have risen 62%, the trade between the two countries remains muted, registering a 24% rise only since 2019. We can blame COVID also. But as I said, the attitude of the countries like New Zealand, UK have been that India is a good market insofar as numbers are concerned, but India is not a market to look at the revenue when seen from the revenue perspective. That is why the attitude from the New Zealand, from the UK, from the European Union, from the German side has been lackadaisical. Now, apart from trade, coming back to the New Zealand issue, apart from trade, both India and New Zealand also discussed about other areas of cooperation, including defense. At a time when the world war kind of a situation is there, potent situation is there, thanks to Israel-Palestine war, thanks to Russia-Ukraine war, both the countries consider it important to discuss about the defense and security, especially when considered from the prism of another challenge that we see with the rise of China, with the China's increasing presence in the Pacific Ocean, even though India is in the Indian Ocean. But this New Zealand is very close to another Quad member, Australia. Even though we have Quad partnership to secure the freedom of navigation to manage the China challenge in the South China Sea, in the Indian Ocean region. But Pacific is also included in the broader vision of quadrilateral. And we are partnering with another neighbor of New Zealand, that is Australia. Here are a few details of the defense cooperation between the two sides. India and New Zealand have decided to strengthen and institutionalize their defense and security collaboration. In addition to joint exercises, naval exercises, air force exercises, trainings, and port visits, a roadmap for bilateral defense industry collaboration will be developed, as India is aspiring to have some gains in the Make in India in defense. Talking about the navies of both the sides are working together in the combined Task Force 150 for maritime security in the Indian Ocean region. New Zealand is equally concerned, as I said, about the rising Chinese presence in the Pacific Ocean. You talk about Coco Island. Have a look at the map today. You see the Coco Island. China is making inroads into the Coco Island. Even though our Prime Minister recently visited Mauritius and back to back the meeting with the New Zealand Prime Minister. So you talk about the length and breadth of the Indo-Pacific region. On one hand, we have Mauritius Island. On the other hand, we have Coco Islands. A group of island countries is there near in the Oceania region of the world. So that is why New Zealand formally joined the Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative and became a member of Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, CDRI as it is popularly known. Education also featured prominently because, as we said in the beginning, that a lot of Indian students, they go to New Zealand to pursue their education, to pursue their studies for better educational opportunities. So that is why an education cooperation agreement was signed between the education ministers of both the countries to promote academic exchanges and partnerships. Additionally, a memorandum of cooperation in sports was established between India's Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports New Zealand. That is the name of their ministry. This agreement will enhance sports collaboration and initiatives. You talk about stadiums, sports equipment, talking about treadmill, etc. So we can think of enhanced partnership in this area of sports as well. Last but not the least, New Zealand has an Indian diaspora in great numbers. Around 3 lakh people of Indian origin have made New Zealand as their home. So people to people ties are equally important and find a prominent place in the agenda of the meetings between the leaders of the two countries. In the end, let's hope that the discussions during this visit are followed upon in the right manner, in the right earnest, so that during these uncertain times of global trade war started by the US President Donald Trump, and at a time when a kind of recalibration, a new world order is being carved out, India and New Zealand can find a place for themselves in this new world order, in this times when the history of the world is being reshaped. This was all in this video at PW Only IS English. For more such videos, keep visiting this channel. Stay posted on this channel. I'll be covering each and every aspect of international relations here on this channel, PW Only IS English. Thank you. Have a good time.